Joining me today is the IBO Welterweight World Champion with a record of 21-2, 15 KOs. He's ranked number 7 by the WBC, number 12 by the IBF, and number 5 by BoxRec. He also goes by the nickname Evolution, and he's heading into a fight 1 week from today against a man that goes by the name The Lion. That is Tulani Mbenge. Tulani, I appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
Thank you very much, SchuZ, and appreciate being here, being invited by you. Otherwise, I appreciate everything.
Absolutely, my man. Well, let's get right into this because, as I just said, you're 1 week away from fight night. You're about ready to head into fight week now, just a couple of days. Where is your mentality at right now? What's your mindset at right now as you approach fight week?
My mentality right now, approaching the fight week, I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling ready. I've been dominating in the African soil, so everyone I faced there, I knocked out. So I'm feeling ready. I'm feeling strong for this guy, and I know he's an international campaigner. And he said on the newspaper here in South Africa that I must be ready for war. But I know most of these guys, they can't really take my power, they can't really take my skill, and I'm feeling strong, yeah.
Well, let's dive into this fight a little bit more because this is a card to begin with that is a really special card. It's being promoted as right now as the biggest card on South African soil ever. And you have Kevin Lorena who's going to be on this fight card, who also is an incredible fighter. You have yourself on this fight card. Can you just take me through how exciting it is to be able to fight in front of your home people, being able to be at home? I know it's always got to be a special thing where you get to fight in front of your family and friends and grow up where you grew up at. What does that mean to just be able to grow up and fight now in front of your family and friends?
Oh, it definitely means a lot because obviously people really like for a while they've been thinking, please fight at home, when are you fighting home? When are you fighting home? So it's really exciting because Kevin Lorena fighting like you said, defending his WPC as a main bout, defending his WPC weight. Tavisom Tony, I think you remember Tavisom Tony fought the likes of Usyk. He fought Makabu also. So it's a very exciting, really exciting times for South African boxing because this is one of the biggest tournaments we have. And I'm really excited. I'm shocked. I'm ready, and I can't wait because obviously it's a still active fight for me because I'm not defending my IPO title, but it's one step forward, So I can't really wait to get in the ring next week.
All right, so you're a week out from the fight. Do you have a prediction for what's going to happen when you step foot in that ring? Do you have a prediction in terms of when you're going to win, if you're going to win, and at what round that could be at?
I'm definitely dominating this guy. Most of these guys, they're not on my level. Most of the guys that I fought in the African soil, I knocked them out, all of them.
Yep.
So this is going to be one of those domination and demolition fights where I'm going to go in, I'm going to display my skills, I'm going to display my power, and then you won't able to take, you won't be able to take the power. So yeah, I'm gonna knock this guy out. I'm definitely knocking him out. I'm gonna take my time, be patient enough, and take him out.
You also talked about how good South Africa boxing is, and when I look at South Africa boxing, I feel like it's honestly one of, if not the most underrated country when you look at the global scale of boxing. You have yourself, who just talked about your accolades and what you accomplished. Pumile Kafu is obviously a great fighter. Kevin Lorena, who I just mentioned, Ricardo, you have Landell, you also have Noshinga is obviously out there. When you talk about how much talent is in South Africa right now when it comes to boxing, how special is it being a part of this era?
There's too much talent in South Africa, and Africa as a whole. There's too much talent. If you're watching the Grand Prix WBC tournament this past week, past weekend, you'll see that there are a lot of guys that are coming from Africa that are dominating, and those are up and coming. And like you said, there's likes of Carrefour, there's likes of like mentioned, there's likes of Kevin Lorena, there's also the likes of the guys that are dominating overseas, like the likes of Tulani. And I mean, it's good times. It's really incredible times because, like South African talent is gonna at some point between this year and the next year is gonna blow up, and the boxing community is gonna be shocked because we've got a lot of talent in South Africa and Africa as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Being a part of this era, now you look at yourself and you say, you know what, I'm a part of this group. Because we talk about some world champions, Kafu, Noshinga, yourself now. Knowing that you have been a part of making this era of South Africa boxing, and overall, like you said, Africa boxing as a whole, so special. What does it mean to you to be able to be a part of that?
It means a lot because I I was reading the welterweight in the times of Rostam, Terence Crawford, years back when welterweight was hot. I was
Mm-hmm.
rated top 10, and unfortunately, most of these guys, I really don't know why they didn't want to fight me. I really don't know why they don't want to fight me because I've been on the I lost I think Formula, and then Formula went and fighted the likes of Sean Porter, the likes of Conor Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then I went to France because I was rated top in the WBC. So I went to France and fought to Soko, very comfortable, very debatable outcome there. And and yeah, after that, like most of these guys, they didn't want to fight me because they saw me as a danger. And I mean, it's a really good chance to be, one of the guys that are doing it in South Africa. One of the guys that are, I want to unify the welterweight, and I want to do it for the country. I want to do it for the continent. The motherland has got so much talent,
Mm-hmm.
So it feels good to be one of the guys that are pioneers, one of the guys that are leading into what we know is going to become one of the good years when it comes to boxing in Africa.
You mentioned some of those names, and I do want to get into the welterweight division because when you talk about yourself, I know obviously you're not going to look past this fight too much. You know you have business to handle in a week from now, but you are a world champion right now. You're the IBA welterweight world champion. And when we look at 147, the division has started to come together a little bit more in the past few weeks now. I feel like there's a lot more clarity, there's a lot more talent and big fights to be made now. And when we look at yourself right now, we know Boots Ennis, who just obviously had a great performance a couple weeks ago. You have a guy in Brian Norman who has a fight booked. Mario Barrios is another champion. Stanionis is still a good fighter. Connor Ben's fighting this weekend. When you look at all the different guys that you could possibly have a fight against after this upcoming fight, is there one guy specifically that you want to fight?
I see Barra Society many Tokyo. I didn't expect that one. That's why I didn't expect that one because mostly I wanted to fight Barrios because I believe it comes from from the history of tribes. Like me, is a tribe man, and he is proud of where he comes from, and I'm one of those guys that I'm proud of where I come from, and I represent that. Yeah, and I feel like me and Barrios can, can get into a fight, and that will be like really one of the great fights for boxing because it's a warrior to warrior, someone who won't run around and try to, you know, um, try to make it boring. Because most of the guys they just want to get into a fight, want to make it boring because fans pay to be entertained. So we have to entertain fans. But all in all, I would love to fight anyone. Brian Norman, I don't have a problem fighting Brian Norman. Bruce, I don't have a problem with fighting any Bruce. Anyone that is there at 147, which is top 10. Um, I don't have a problem with fighting anyone. I would love to fight anyone. I would love to unify the welterweight, but these guys, they don't want to fight me. They don't want to fight me.
There's one guy you just talked about, Mario Barros, the guy you kind of essentially called out that you'd like to fight, and there came out news this morning that he's supposedly going to be fighting Manny Pacquiao next. I know that's obviously quite an interesting fight, to say the least. I have a segment coming up about that one after this interview, actually, because I'm a little bit baffled by that one. I'm not quite sure why that's the fight he wants to go with, but I'm not sure if you heard about those details yet. But in just your opinion, now that you've heard that, What's your thoughts on Mario Barrios and him fighting Manny Pacquiao now likely in July or June?
I don't really, I don't know I don't know what the business is in it, but I mean, anyone, I don't have a problem with him and the team deciding to fight Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is a legend. If something comes and I have to fight Manny Pacquiao, I'll say yes. For anyone in the 147, anyone. I mean, at one stage, Ryan Garcia was calling out Manny Pacquiao, you know. Even Bart at one stage he said Top Rank didn't want him to fight Manny Pacquiao. So I think it's good for him. I won't lie because Manny Pacquiao is a legend. I will take that fight. I mean, wishing all the best for him. But I also I would love to fight Marius Barrios. I would really love to fight Marius Barrios.
Now, have you guys ever had any talks about that fight possibly happening? Because that would actually be an incredible fight. I think that would make a lot of sense for yourself. I think that would be a great fight, as you mentioned. Have you ever had talks with his team? Is that ever something you just haven't negotiated yet or even discussed yet with them?
No, not really. Because, I think that's not the route they want to take. I mean, many of those guys, they obviously they have a plan in place. So the promoters, I don't have a promoter. I've been fighting hard to be top 10 for years and without a promoter. So it's a risky business for everyone. That I understand, but I feel like this is a soft area because the best is supposed to fight the best. You know, that's what we grow up into. You know, Marvin Hagler had to fight Roy Jones. I know Ray Robinson. Look at the Marvelous Four. You know, the best used to fight the best. Look, I mean, I don't understand why these guys don't want to fight each other. You know, I understand that there's a business side of it, but I feel like unifying the welterweight will definitely bring the light into sport. I mean, Jake Paul is running with the sport, and these guys are busy walking around with belts, but fighting nobody. You know, I feel like we're in the good era, we're in the golden era where there's a lot of talent in boxing, but unfortunately, these guys, the best don't want to fight the best. This one has got a problem with this one has got a problem with this one. This promoter don't work with that promoter, this promoter don't work with that promoter. Then it becomes a problem for boxing because like UFC is taking over because the best is fighting the best. You know, so I'm just hoping and I see what the Excellency Mr. Turkish Al-Sheikh, what is doing is trying to do his best to make the best to fight the best. And I just hope that boxing goes to that route, takes that route where the best is fighting the best.
No, you made a huge point there because there are some divisions that we finally are starting to see fight the best. And that's because of Turkey Al-Sheikh, everything's really been putting things together. Heavyweight division, you had undisputed champion recently. Light heavyweight, you've had that opportunity. Obviously, there's a couple other divisions too, but I mean, I think at your weight class, that's probably the one that's had the most chaos overall. Like we finally just got a couple weeks ago a unification fight between Boots and Stanionis, and it took so many years for unification to happen. Like it shouldn't have taken that long. We know there's obviously rumors. I never like to say someone's ducking somebody because I don't know exactly the details behind it. But Brian Norman versus Boots Ennis should have been a fight that could have happened a long time ago, and they refuse to fight each other for some reason right now. And the list goes on right now. So when you look at this, I mean, how do you think this gets fixed? Do you think we're going to see clarity at any point in time with 147? Like, could we finally see the welterweight division start to have more unifications and actually have the big fights come to fruition? Or do you think it's just not going to happen anytime soon?
I think somehow. I mean, if you look at what the Excellency is doing, Turkish Al-Sheikh, everyone is going to fold and everyone is going to, all of these promoters, they need to work with this guy because obviously he's trying to make the fight that people are saying it's expensive to make this fight, you know. So what's the excuse now? Because there is a guy that is willing to to put something on the table. So
Yep.
I don't understand what's the problem now. Because at first it was easy to say, no, I want this much and I want this much. But now when there's a guy on the table who's saying, I'm willing to put this much, so let's make this fight happen.
Yep.
So I feel like it is gonna get in a moment in time where we are going to the top 10 is gonna fight the top 10 because all of these guys they fight guys top 50, top 100. I don't understand why. Barrios almost lost to Ramos. Got a draw. Why are you fighting someone who's top 50?
Yep.
Why are you fighting someone who's top 50 when the potential of making great fights within 147? Because people are saying now 147 is one of the weakest uh, times of of it because it used to be a basket for talent, and it is. You
Yep.
know, if you look at top 20 at 147, those guys, I'll fight anyone from 1 to 20, and I by all means I know that when I fight guys top 20 in the welterweight, that's gonna be one of the best fights in boxing. Why can't boxers do that? Why can't promoters do that? You know,
I
so
agree.
I feel like it is gonna get there. It is gonna get there with time. We just have to give time. It is gonna go there. I mean, I'm also like I'm not signed with any promoter, so I'm also trying my level best to get these guys to see we must fight each other so
Yep.
that people can stop complaining. Um, I commented on Ryan Garcia and I said, come, let's make it happen. You want to fight anyone at 147? I'm here. I
Yep.
mean, 2 times at the welterweight. And then I made a comment about Barrios on the other side. And some of the boxing fans, they say, yeah, you must wait on the line. I'm like, you guys are busy saying we must wait on the line. You don't check. You don't do your research because I'm rated number 7 in WBC. You're busy commenting saying I must wait on the line like other people, but I'm rated number 7. Of which your ignorance is putting you in a space where you've got omitted information, but you have the ego to come out here and call me out, you know. And then like I feel like most of the guys that's why like the boxing on its own is taking this route is because of these guys don't the best don't want to fight the best. This is the softest era I've ever seen in boxing. I'm a fan of boxing. I've been watching boxing since the age of 12.
Mm-hmm.
Since the age of 12. You know, I'm a huge fan of boxing. I'm a huge fan of combat sport. But this is the softest era I've ever seen in boxing. This is the softest era because the best don't want to fight the best.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the best fight the best, it's good for the sport. No
Agree.
one loses. No one loses. When the best fight the best, the whole entertainment industry comes together. Look, when Ran Garcia was fighting Chivonte, the whole entertainment industry came together. Ran Garcia was fighting television. The whole industry came together. Usyk fighting Tyson Fury. You know,
Exactly. Yep.
those are the fights we need. You know, we need to collab. Bosses need to sit in the side of boxing fans, purists. They deserve the best because they pay their money to watch us. They want to get entertained. And some of them, they've been following boxing for years. So they want to see the best fighting the best.
No, I 100% agree. 'Cause I think you mentioned a good point. When the best fight the best, everybody wins. And I know some people are saying, well, you get the loss in your record. Well, that could be true, but also let's look at what happened with Better Be and Bivol. Both guys now have a loss in their record, but no one's doubting either one of those two guys. Everyone considers those two guys still two of the top 5, top 10 pound for pound guys. So there truly is a chance where if you lose, you could still be a winner at the end of the day in those situations. But I want to add on to a couple other things because like I said, there's now a few fights booked in your weight class. I just want to get your prediction what you think will happen in those fights. One of which is that it's now expected that Brian Norman is going to be traveling out to fight in Tokyo, Japan, to fight Sasaki next. How do you think that fight's going to go?
I both of them don't have experience. I feel Brian Norman is still, is not matured enough to understand his talent at the moment in time. Is still maturing into becoming the elite welterweight. Saka also is just experienced, just comes there, swings, uses power. It's going to be an interesting one because these are two guys that are inexperienced. Me and Sean, my manager, we are speaking with Tom Brown about getting the Brian Norman fight. And yeah, at some point he wants to fight me.
Okay.
At some point he wants to fight me, but we received an email 2 days back saying that the guy in China or Japan is giving him a good best for him to go fight there. So I mean, it's a good opportunity for him. It's a bit it's a bit it's a bit awkward for me to because I did it. It's a bit awkward for me as a champion to go to someone's hometown and fight there because like there's so many things that can happen in that boxing at some point gets complicated in a way, and then you don't understand the results. So I don't know what's going to happen between the two. Otherwise, Brian Norman needs to stick to his basics. Dominate this guy, knock this guy out. Besides that, it's going to end up being a set for 8 to 12 rounds. I'm wishing nothing but the best to both of them. I mean, it's two athletes that are rated top 5. That's what we need in boxing. That's what we need. Regardless of the results, boxing wins when the best fights the best. I just want Brian Norman to win. Yeah, I can fight him.
Now, there's one other thing I want to ask you about in the welterweight division before we get back into your career. And what I want to ask you about is there's another fight coming up this upcoming weekend with a guy that technically is at 147, Conor Benn. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to come back down to 147 because him getting all the way to 160, that might be a tough weight cut in the future. But for the time being, we know him as a welterweight. How do you think that fight's going to go down this weekend between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank? Who do you have winning that one?
It's an interesting one because I feel like Conor Benn, like I always look at things in a different perspective than anyone because obviously, besides being a boxer, I'm a fan of boxing. I feel like Conor Benn doesn't really have the creative mind after 4 or 5 rounds. Because with boxing, you need to be patient sometimes. Most of the time you need to be patient. You need to know what you're doing. You need to be creative enough after 5, 6 rounds because you have that power. You want to knock the guy out. The guy stays longer than you expected, and you need to be creative now. And I feel like Conor Benn needs. He hasn't been tested in a way where you can see him displaying his skills, the movement and everything. I feel like it's going to be a difficult fight for him mentally because SchuZ Show is winning mentally when I look at this press conference, and I feel like SchuZ Show is going to make it a hard fight because Conor Benn first 2, 3, 4 rounds is going to come very hot.
Oh yeah,
he's going to try and knock him out. He's going to come very hot. So I want to see after 4 rounds what he's going to do because I also said the same thing about Liam fighting Ben Whittaker. I said Ben Whittaker needs to come in there and fire because after 4 rounds it's going to be a different fight after 4 rounds because Liam is going to be there. He's going to put pressure. He's going to, he's going to test his skills. He's going to, test his basics because these guys, most of them, they don't have basics. So I feel like it's going to be a really incredible fight. But I feel like SchuZ Show has the edge because it's gonna make it a mental game. And most of the time boxing is a mental game. You need to play that. You need to play that mental game. It's gonna stick behind the jab. Won't engage the first 3, 4 rounds. Won't engage as much. Gonna try and pick him from pillar to pillar. Try to pick him pillar to pillar. Box around him, move around, make Conor Ben frustrated, hold him a little bit, push him a little bit, and then we'll see what Conor Ben can do when you are challenged mentally, because it's not a physical thing. Because obviously, like I said, he's got the power, and he thinks he's gonna come in there, and this guy's gonna be standing there for him to hit. And I feel like Chris won't be there for him to hit. So then it's gonna make it a very difficult fight for Conor Ben. So yeah, I feel like mentally, Fisherbank has got an edge mentally, because obviously I've seen him box, I've seen him being knocked out, I've seen him coming back from being knocked out and knocking the guy out, and I want to see what Conor Ben can do. I want to see what Conor Ben can do, but I feel like I said, Fisherbank has got an edge.
Absolutely, man. Well, I want to get back into your journey, because what I just learned about you too is that over the past few minutes we've been breaking down these different fighters in welterweight division. You know, and you love boxing. I know there's some boxers out there like doing it for themselves, but you truly are a fan of boxing because you know how to break down all these different fighters. So I'm really impressed about, man. So I gotta know, when did this love for boxing start for yourself? Has this always been you? Was there a certain age you started falling in love with boxing, or when did you really start to love this sport, man?
No, I've been traveling around the world. I see people when they say, "You are nobody, who's you?" I'm like, I'm a Commonwealth gold medalist from 2013.
Okay.
So I was at the World Games with Anton Joshua. I was at the World Games with the likes of Osek in Azerbaijan 2011. So that I've been traveling with boxing. I've been campaigning like as an international campaigner. Um, Unfortunately, that we don't have that much coverage here at the side in South Africa when it comes to boxing. We don't really have that much coverage. Otherwise, I've got the whole amateur pedigree, and I've been to Commonwealth Games, I've been to World Games, I've got a lot of medals, I've got a lot of experience also as an amateur, because, yeah, like I said, I've been traveling, I've been to Cuba for 6 months, sparring the best, Cuba is a school of boxing. So yeah, my journey started at a very young age. At a very young age, I became a South African SA champion at the age of 13. Then after that, I was dominating as an amateur. Then I started traveling with. I became part and parcel of the Olympic team in South Africa. Then I started traveling, fighting in Africa, All Africa Games, All African Championships, coming back with medals. Then I started campaigning for Olympics. I was supposed to go to Rio in Brazil, but unfortunately I turned pro because I was tired of the politics within the sport in Amateur. So then I turned pro. Otherwise, I was medal hope here in South Africa for Rio in Brazil.
All right, so when I was reading a little about your story, I believe you started boxing for fun in the very beginning, and then you ended up kind of stopping for a little bit. But because you kept enjoying it, or you had a fight essentially because you're being bullied and stuff at school, you then all of a sudden decided to pick up boxing again and go all in on boxing. Is that story true? And if so, can you elaborate on that a little bit and just kind of tell us more about that change of why you really started getting in love with boxing from the very beginning?
I was a rugby player because rugby is very famous in South Africa. Rugby and soccer. The rugby is football then,
Yeah.
So yeah, we call it rugby. It's a very famous sport in South Africa. That's why we became world champions and for time and time again, Springboks. So I was I was I was involved in rugby in secondary school. But unfortunately, I was fighting a lot in the field. I didn't like being tackled, and you think you can get away with tackling me. So I used to fight a lot when I'm being tackled or someone is playing dirty. I used to fight. I used to fight a lot. So my secondary teacher forced me to go to boxing because he said, I don't want you in this sport which is wasabi. I want you to go to boxing because you fight a lot. Then I went to boxing, but I didn't really like it. Because they were teaching me basics. It was, because I had anger at that time. I just wanted to fight. I didn't have the
Mm-hmm.
patience to learn the basics and the science within the sport. And then I let go a little bit. I said, let me let go of this because there's too much, you know, going on within it. Then after some time, then I I fought again. Then that's when I started. Then that's when I started falling back into boxing again, and then I started falling in love with it because I was dominating each and every fight, and and then everyone started to, to like me within the boxing field. So then I said to myself, okay, this works. Let me just follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started following it. First time I went to national championships here in South Africa, I became a gold medalist. Then I'm like, yeah, this is it. Then I'm like, nah, I'm a national champion. This is it. And after that, it was history. After history, I was dominating and dominating. Then I became a name within amateur boxing. And then here in South Africa, and then I started campaigning in Africa because when you dominate in South Africa, they put you as part of the national team. So we go and then fight other countries in Africa, you know,
Mm-hmm.
championships, fighting, or all Africa games, So then that's where then I started falling in love with it so much
Okay.
because obviously I came from a disadvantaged area, but it's rich of boxing history because we got the likes of Yan Pongu, the likes of Welcome Me to where I come from. Here in South Africa, we call it the Mecca of boxing.
Mm-hmm. I also want to ask you,
Yeah.
your nickname's Evolution. Where did that come from? How'd you get the nickname Evolution?
I became I named myself Evolution because people used to call me Tools. And yeah, that's my nickname. My nickname is Toast because my
Okay.
full name is Tulani. So most people didn't know how to pronounce Tulani. So and then the easier way was to call myself Toast. Then I called
Mm.
myself Toast. But then in time, then when I turned pro, I said to myself, this is the evolution of boxing.
Okay.
because I was because I was a hot commodity in amateur. Everyone, used to say, you must turn pro, you must turn pro, you're gonna be good with pros. You must
Mm.
turn pro. So then I said to myself, this is the evolution of boxing. When I'm turning pro, this is the evolution of boxing. I'm gonna bring boxing into life. So now I feel like I'm in my prime, and the evolution of boxing in South Africa is becoming a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with with within the next 4 or 5 months, I know I know by all means that these guys, one of them is gonna bite, one
Mm.
of them is gonna want to fight me. Then I'm gonna show the evolution of boxing here in South Africa.
Love it, man. Now I want to ask you about something else because we know you have the welterweight IBO welterweight championship right now. You had that 5 years ago. You gotta walk us through this journey because it had to be tough. You have a world championship 5 years ago, then you end up losing it, and then you work your way back to regain that belt once again. There has to be a special, special feeling realizing that and kind of having all that come full circle for yourself. Walk us through that point from when you lost your belt to gaining it back last year. How was that journey? What was that like? And how did you get through that time of saying, okay, I reached the point I wanted to reach. You lost it. Now you're going to rebuild and get back to the place you're at now.
Yeah, you get in a moment where you feel like despondent because most people, when you lose, because I don't know what is the stigma of losing in boxing
I
at this
agree.
moment in time. People are defending the oh, I like for what? I don't understand. We win or we learn. So after I lost my fight in Germany, everyone was like, "You're not supposed to lose that fight. You lost to a guy who's a nobody. You're supposed to knock this guy out. Formula is small." And you know how it is on the internet. You got tired, and I'm like, even there in South Africa, and I'm like, got up. I'm like, no, got up. I don't believe all this. I felt like I got up, and that's the narrative I went with because I needed to regain my status. I needed to build from there. So like after I lost my title, I didn't really, I didn't really put it into my head. And then for a year, then I said I'm coming back. Then I said I'm coming back. Then I went for APU. APU is the African Boxing Union, which is affiliated with WPC.
Okay.
And when I won that, then I went for SA Tunnel, and South African title. Then I won that. Then I defended it once. Then I was ranked top 5 by WBC. Then they wanted me to fight to SchuZ in France for a WBC silver so that I can challenge. They said this is the last eliminator. You can challenge Rosberg.
Okay.
So yeah, that was my last eliminator so they can Rosberg. And like people when they have this idea in their head and when they love someone, then South Africa say, yeah, we can't fight a roster. I say, I don't care what you say. I'm fighting to get there. I don't care. I don't care what you say. No, you can't have the skill to fight a roster. I say, I don't care. I don't care what you say. You've never been where I am. So I know what I do. I know how hard I work. I know my future. I know I can. I know anything is possible in this lifetime. You understand? I understand your perception as a person. That's on you. I don't think like that. I feel like everything is possible. Anything is possible. So then I lost to Sissoko, and that referee didn't count when I talked to him. So after that, then I felt despondent again because I felt like I was robbed again. I felt like I was robbed again, and everyone on the internet, you were robbed. Even here in South Africa, you were robbed. You were robbed. This thing again, you're robbed, you're robbed, you're robbed. Then I said after it, I don't want to hear this again. That I was robbed. When I fight overseas now, I dominate. I can't domination. Then there was SchuZ parent there. They wanted us to go to Azerbaijan. At one stage, they wanted us to go to Germany, a small one. And I said, we're getting robbed again. I'm not going there. I want something that's going to be live on TV, that's going to be seen worldwide where they can see my domination. Then we fought here. I fought a guy from Argentina, the Fonseca. Very good fight. A really, really, really good fighter. Until his spirit, he's a warrior. And then I won on points. After that, we got 3 calls. We got 3 calls. We declined 2 because also those 2 were in the small. Then we took the boxer one, which is Mata Martinson. And then I knew that I'm going to, because I said to my coach, I'm going to be a 2-time world champion. I'm going to win this thing. Of course, he's like, because Mata Martinson was posting on the internet, he's starting, and there's no one that can beat him right now because on his best, he's starting with the likes of coaches and Campbell Boots, starting everyone in US. Then I just put in work. I don't care. That night, I knew I was gonna be on his face the whole night, and he has to take a beating or give up. Unfortunately, it is a beating. Then yeah, I won in points, and yeah, and then I said to myself, you said to me, you've got all the talent, and you must go and fight anyone and everyone because he believes that there is no way I can beat him because I of the best in the welterweight. You know,
Mm.
so he believes that he said your talent is beyond, so you can fight anyone. And I knew from those time of the people didn't believe in me. I knew I've got the talent
Hmm.
and I've got the work, I've got the stuff, you know, ring general you know. So I know it's just a matter of time and it's just a matter of getting the right fight, the right opponent to dance. Then the whole world will see who's the evolution. They will see the evolution of boxing from South Africa.
Which world title do you think meant more to you? The one that you won 5 years ago, or the one that you just recently won last year? Which one meant more to you?
Yeah, the one I won now last
Yeah.
year, because the first one I won in my soil. Um, the second one I won it there because that one means a lot because people were saying, "Ah, you're gonna get robbed again. You're going overseas. You're going overseas. Why don't you fight this guy here?" I said, "Hey guys, there's no promoter that wants to put that fight in. So Ben Shalom wants us to fight there. So this guy can never beat me. I knew that Michael McKinnon, everyone saying to me, he's awkward. He's awkward. He's gonna make it awkward for you. Then I said, I don't care. I'm gonna beat this guy. I know I have the ring generalship. I know I have the boxing IQ. I have everything to beat this guy. You know. And most of the time, when I was preparing for this fight during the camp, my coach was telling me, stay outside. I said, no, I stay inside. I'm going to stay inside this guy. I'm going to box him inside. Because most don't know how to box inside. It's easy to stand outside, box a guy from a distance, pick a guy from a distance is easy. But when you're inside, that's a different game. So I knew that he's a shorter guy, I'm a taller guy. He's gonna prepare for a guy who's gonna stay outside from outside. But I know I'm not gonna use that I'm not gonna use that game plan where I'm gonna stay outside. I'm gonna keep him on end of my jab because everyone is saying keep him on the end of the jab. I said I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna change the game plan. I'm gonna stay inside. I'm gonna pound him inside. I'm gonna invest downstairs. You know, I'm gonna invest downstairs. Most of the times I don't know how to fight inside. So I said to myself, you know what? What I'm gonna do in this fight, I'm gonna fight inside and I'm gonna prove people that I can fight inside. As a taller guy, you can fight inside. You can change your game plan, stay behind the jab and make it for you, move around the ring and you still front and then and then they say you lost the fight and then they say you lost. But it was a boring fight. It
Yep.
was a boring fight. So this one meant a lot because I knew that the is is the rebirth of the evolution in me. And now I can't wait to go overseas again. I can't
Hmm.
wait to come in 10 minutes like that.
Tulani, I have two final questions for you. The very first one I got for you is if you were to outline the next, let's say, 12 to 18 months, the next year and a half of your life, what are the things you want to accomplish? What are the fights you want? How many fights? Like, what's your goal overall? If everything goes according to your plans, what do you want to have accomplished and do within the next 12 to 18 months?
I'm gonna tell you because I'm gonna tell you I don't have a promoter. I'm gonna tell you what I'm manifesting.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you what I'm spiritually experiencing as a person and what I am manifesting as an individual. The next week I'm fighting.
Hmm.
I'm fighting a guy from Namibia. and I'm gonna knock this guy within 6 rounds. I'm fighting on the 1st of May. I'm fighting a guy from Namibia. I'm fighting Sunset Arena. After that, I'm gonna fight between July, August, September. I'm gonna fight in England.
Okay.
I'm gonna fight in England. I don't care who I fight. I don't care, but that in my mind, I know it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Before the end of the year, I'm gonna fight in Saudi, and it's gonna be a big fight. I don't care who's it at the top 10, but I know I'm gonna fight one of those guys in the top 10 in Saudi for the end of this year. I know I'm gonna. The next year, Feb, I have a signed fight against a guy from Nigeria, but we're fighting in Congo. So the next 8 months, I'm gonna have 3 fights.
Okay.
That's my plan.
Love it, man. Well, I got one final question for you, Tulani, because I was like wrapping up every single interview with this question. Let's talk about your legacy, because one day you're gonna step away from boxing. So I want to know, when you do step away from boxing, what is it that you want people to remember Tulani for?
You know what? It took me the last year. Mark Tyson was cutting on the podcast with I don't think it was Joe Rogan, but someone he was cutting on the interview. He said on that interview, all these goals and it don't mean nothing.
Mm-hmm.
These things don't mean nothing. And most of it, when I was growing up, I grew up listening to Bob Marley, and there's also one interview that lot to be the person that I am, which Bob Marley was involved in. One journalist asked him, do you have a lot of money in your bank? Then he said, I don't. What is a lot of money? Then he said, this guy said a lot of money, position. This guy said I rich. Yeah, this guy said I rich. And then Bob Marley said, what does rich mean to you? Then this guy said, you have a lot of money in your bank, position. I said, position make you rich? Then that guy said, yes, position. Then Bob Marley said, that's not my rich. My rich is eternity. My rich is the impact that I have within life itself, the relationships that I have with people. How many lives did I impact? So that's my legacy. My legacy is not how many belts I have, how many belts did I win, how many championships did I go to. My legacy is how many kids that I impacted in my life, how many people, how many lives I impacted positively. That's my impact. When I boxing, when I said, let me hang my gloves now, I'm done with boxing. I want to look back and say my grit, my dedication within the sport, my hard work, the things that money doesn't have value. The things that the discipline within the sport. I want to show the young and the upcoming that everything is possible. That's my legacy within boxing.
That's an incredible answer, man. Well, Tulani, I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for you up and coming this next week. Best of luck in your fight, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing what God's got in store for you over the next year, man.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you giving me time, brother, giving me exposure to talk to people. I mean, I really appreciate each and every film. My name is Tulani Mbenge. The evolution is coming. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man. Well, Tulani, you're always welcome on the show. I'm looking forward to next time we get to speak, man. God bless you, brother.
God bless you too, my brother.